Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Serge. Today, I wanted to do a book review. I wanted to talk about this amazing book. I don't know if you guys read it yet, by Dr. Cowan, The Contagion Myth. It's one of the most unorthodox book that I read lately, because this book goes against what we've been told to, meaning that that bacteria, microorganisms, viruses are contagious and can spread diseases. So Dr. Thomas goes over the science of this and shows that actually that may be a myth. So I suspected for years and years and years with the work I do that bacteria or viruses do not cause diseases, because a lot of people will carry a virus or bacteria and will not get sick. In this book, Dr. Thomas goes over the disease tuberculosis. So he showed that he demonstrated, and he has some science to support that 90% of people who have the bacteria causing tuberculosis do not have the disease. Just 10% of people who carry the bacterium actually will develop the infection. So if the bacterium was really causing a disease, we should expect to see 100% of people developing over time tuberculosis. So this germ theory started years and years and years ago with Louis Pasteur. Okay, he proposed that back then they were not sure exactly what it was, but small microorganisms, and today we know it's bacteria, would be transmitted to people causing diseases. And he studied rabies specifically, and he is really famous to actually claim to have cured rabies using vaccines. And if you look at the history of his research, we can see actually in his journals that he used a little boy back then to inject, to use some type of vaccination against rabies. And when you look at what he did, it's really interesting. Most people don't know this, but he injected at least 17 times, okay, the vaccines into that body's boy. And a few years later, actually, he died of rabies. And medical doctors use that experiment to show and confirm that vaccines work. This is another topic for another day, but the whole rationale or concept of vaccination was based on that study from Louis Pasteur. He's really famous for it, and you can look into the science of it. Actually, at the end of the day, the little boy died of the disease that he supposedly cured from using vaccination. And over time, Louis Pasteur realized that his theory got wrong. He couldn't prove that microorganisms would cause disease. So his counterpart, Dr. Antoine Béchamp, another French researcher, proposed that the terrain is everything. Microorganisms do not cause disease, but the health status of your organs, your tissues, your cells may predispose you to get an infection from microorganisms. So that was two different concepts back then. We all know that Louis Pasteur actually won, and then the whole medical system is based on diseases caused by bacteria, viruses, and so on and so on. So if you're sick, you have a cold, you take antibiotics, it kills it, you're fine, and so on and so on. But we know today that's not quite the case, like Dr. Thomas demonstrated in his book, using tuberculosis, using herpes. A lot of people, I believe he said about 90% of people would carry the herpes virus, but the great majority of them do not have any flare-ups, no problems. The virus stays dormant into the body. And then he looked at more science into why they believe it's contagious. And he goes back to 4, 5, 6 centuries ago and looking at the major epidemics that happened throughout history. And what he proposed in his book is really amazing, actually. Some of it I was not aware, is that he demonstrated that a change in the electromagnetic field of the earth was part of some of those epidemics. And he starts his journey by looking at comets. So I didn't realize that actually, that when comets really fly close to the earth, it can disrupt the electromagnetic field of the earth, causing a disruption in our own energetic field, which makes sense at the end of the day because we are on the earth and we are sync with the earth energy field. So, and there's quite a bit of science behind that. That's a concept I was not aware of. And then you look at all those different moments in history that the energy field of the earth got disrupted by radars, by 4Gs, 5Gs, and so on. And at the end of the day, he proposes that the 5G network that got installed throughout the planet, actually for the last 12, 18 months, was the starting point of this epidemic, or was a major causative factor behind people getting sick. Because he shows that for all those big cities that got the virus, that got the epidemic really, really bad, it's all those cities that where they actually a few weeks, a month prior, they install those 5G antennas. And we know that 5G, it's really toxic, actually. It's really, really powerful to disrupt the mitochondria of the cells, the energy of the cells, which can have all those side effects of blood clottings and bleeding and so on and so on. People would die from it. And one of the interesting points that I actually talked about a few weeks ago myself is the concept of exosomes, of viruses. And there's some virologists today claim that viruses and exosomes are the same. So if you look at these two entities under the electron microscope, you would not be able to tell the difference. They look the same. So they are the same thing. So exosomes are small particles that the cells will make and expel to eliminate toxins. And of course, if you're exposed to 5G, for example, or Roundup, mercury, and so on, your body makes naturally exosomes to neutralize and get rid of these different particles that are toxic, that are poisonous for the body. So this is really interesting because we've been believing for a long time that viruses were a thing, that viruses would cause all those different diseases. But he proposes that what about at the end of the day that viruses actually are exosome, and it's a way for the body to eliminate, to cope with toxin exposures. And he explained in his book that that's maybe what people believe it's contagious. Because if you're exposed to the same toxin, let's say you go to the park with all those different people and you're exposed to a certain type of toxins, for example, pesticides from the grass, and the people get sick. They have flu-like symptoms, cold, runny nose, fever, and they believe, man, that must be a cold, a bacteria, so let's do something about it. But what about if there's a reaction that the body has against the pesticides exposures? It makes a lot of sense, actually, when you think about it. I think Antoine Béchamp was really right a long time ago when he says that everything is the terrain. So you have to take care of your body. If you take care of your body, your tissues, your organs, your cells, you don't get sick. I mean, personally, I don't wear the mask. I won't get vaccinated. I take my vitamin C, my vitamin B, my vitamin D, my zinc, elderberry. I do everything possible to support my immune system, to take care of my terrain, in order for me, if I'm exposed to something, my body can quickly get rid of the problem. So I recommend this book for anybody, everybody, if you're really interested into a concept that really would really change your way of thinking about biology and viruses and bacteria. Really, very fascinating. And of course, Dr. Thomas has videos. He has different interviews where he talks about this new concept. So at the end of the day, bacteria, viruses is a way for the body to address and eliminate toxins. It's really amazing. It's really fascinating to see that nature gave us what is necessary to address toxins exposure. At the end of the day, we know God provided us with plant, herbs, food, good quality food components to help the body. And he actually created bacteria and viruses or exosome in order for us to fight back against invaders, toxins that can impact our health. Really, really fascinating concept. So I recommend this book to anybody, everybody. So if you have any question on this, please let me know. On this one, have a good night. God bless you.